primary election. I am Chelsea Platt, Vice President of Advancement for North Central Michigan College, and filling in tonight for President Finley. Founded in 1958, North Central proudly celebrates over 65 years of serving the residents of Emmet County and learners from across the tip of the mitt and beyond. We provide exceptional, accessible, and relevant higher education for the benefit of all. If President Finley were here, he'd point out that these three words begin with E-A-R, showing that we're listening to those we serve. So tell him I did my homework. Our aim is to prepare students of all ages for the opportunities found in a dynamic, diverse, and increasingly interconnected world. This education yields workforce talent for area employers, and it ultimately contributes to the economic health and well-being of our region. As the community's college, please allow me just a moment to celebrate our recent graduates. We had 241 students cross the stage at commencement last month, and over a third were the first in their family to attend college. What's more, I know, yay, thank you. What's more, 9 in 10 of those graduates worked while they were attending school. And this truly speaks to the grit and perseverance of North Central students. In addition, we had over 180 students who completed a fast-track workforce training program. Together, combined with our traditional graduates, that's over 400 students who have taken an important first step in their career and life journeys. As Timberwolves, we are so very proud of our pack. Our college team, working with community members, local businesses, and elected officials, among many others, seeks to make Northern Michigan the very best place possible to live, work, learn, and play. In fact, that is what tonight's candidate forum is all about. North Central is pleased to continue its longstanding partnership with this committee, being the Government Relations Committee, by serving as the host venue for this event. What's more, we look forward to hosting other important conversations around things like childcare, transportation, housing, and workforce talent as the community's convener. That too is part and parcel of our mission. So we now move from the informal meet and greet portion of tonight's event to the official candidate forum. I want to extend a special thanks again to the Chamber's Government Relations Committee for their political advocacy on behalf of Northern Michigan. In addition, I'd like to thank Sarah Van Horn and Nikki Devitt from the Charlevoix Chamber and the Petoskey Chamber, respectively. These two exceptional community leaders will be introducing the candidates and explaining the format. We are also excited that North Central's outstanding political science professor, Scott Ledour, will serve as this evening's moderator. I am lastly pleased to share that tonight's event will be live streamed so that we might reach an even larger audience of individuals unable to attend in person. We extend appreciation to the North Central IT team for making this happen. Finally, I would like to thank the Iron Horse Café staff and the physical plant crew here at the college for their good work to support this event. And forgive me if I've missed anyone. So without further ado, thank you for being here, and I'll turn the microphone over to Nikki Devitt. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Chelsea. And now I can do the official hello and welcome. And a big round of applause, please, for North Central Michigan College for this evening. Welcome to our 2024 Emmet Charlevoix County Candidate Forum. On behalf of the Petoskey Regional Chamber of Commerce and the Charlevoix Chamber of Commerce, we thank you for attending and our candidates for participating this evening. As Chelsea said, I am Nikki Devitt. I'm President and CEO of the Petoskey Chamber, and we're going to start this evening a little differently than we normally do. We're working in making sure we have some remarks from those who were able to attend. So we're going to start out with our congressional candidates. These remarks will only be a few minutes in length, and then we will move on to contested county remarks from our contested county commissioner races. So first, we did invite all candidates running for the U.S. 1st District in Congress to join us this evening. And those who are able to attend are Joshua Saul, Callie Barr, and Bob Lawrencer. And if those three would be able to come up here for just a moment, I would greatly appreciate it. And if you would each like to have a seat. Please give them a round of applause. And we will start. The microphones are right behind you. Feel free to grab it, and it will be unmuted when you're ready to speak. And Joshua, if you would like to take a couple minutes to say a few words, feel free.
Thank you. And thank you very much to the college for hosting us tonight. I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to come and to present my vision for what to do and how to move forward with this country. So for those of you who haven't met me, my name's Josh Saul. I'm a retired Army infantryman, Purple Heart recipient, and CPA. And I think that that gives me the skills to solve the major problems that our country is facing today. Namely, a complete lack of accountability in our government and a fiscal situation that's so out of control that the rest of the world has gone away from the dollar because of its lack of strength. So I'm here to present a vision of how we solve those problems. And number one is government accountability. Right now, Congress is at an 11% approval rating, and it's for a reason, because nobody who works for the government, especially in Congress, is held accountable when they violate our rights. And so from the left and the right, we have both legitimate reasons to not trust our government systems. And if we don't find a way to hold our government accountable soon, then we're going to completely lose faith in all of those institutions, and we won't be able to maintain our unity as a country. So that's a very important step towards being able to heal the divides that are currently causing such strife in this country. And I think the other area where we really need to do some work is in our fiscal situation. And the way that you solve a fiscal crisis is you send a finance expert, and that's what I am. I'm a CPA. I've spent the past 5.5 years working at Munson Healthcare. We kept the hospital open through that entire time, even expanded services through that time, maintained our bond rating, and had a clean audit even with no adjustments in the most recent year, which is almost unheard of for an organization that size. So I have the financial skills to actually go in and solve this problem. And my plan is relatively simple. We start, number one, with freezing our federal spending. And that will allow the inflation that we're experiencing to eliminate the deficit over time. We add on top of that we're going to essentially legislate the Ramaswamy plan, where we consolidate and eliminate federal agencies that are performing redundant functions. And that'll allow us to save on an annualized basis with what we're spending every year. And then the last thing that we need to do is work on selling all of our obsolete assets that are collecting dust and we're paying to maintain, like our cubicle farms, and work on transitioning them into residential housing, so that way we can work on inflating the commercial real estate market, deflating the residential real estate market, and finding places for people to live without them having to, at a rate that they can afford. And that's something that doesn't exist right now. So I think that I'm the candidate to bring fiscal responsibility in this race, because my opponent has not really shown a whole lot of fiscal responsibility. He sat on the budget committee for 8 years. Our debt has doubled during that time. And as conservatives, we're supposed to believe that earmarks are not something that are an appropriate way to govern. He's the number 2 recipient in earmarks of any member of the House this year. And we also believe as conservatives in personal accountability and fiscal responsibility. This year, he's the number 1 recipient in personal expense reimbursement of any member of Congress, and that's despite the fact that he also has his military retirement to lean back on. So when you add those together, he's making more money than the president, and yet he still felt like he needed to take over $40,000 for us to pay for his rent and his food. And I don't think that that's not conservative values. That's not what it means to be a Republican. And I think that if we want to bring our fiscal situation in control, we're going to need somebody who's willing to make the changes and live the values that they preach. So my name's Josh Saul. On August 6th, I hope to be able to earn your vote for the primary. And together, I think that we have what it takes to really mend the wounds of this country and restore the rights that we all love. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Josh. Callie, Go right ahead and introduce yourself, and you have about 4 minutes.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone coming out here tonight, and thanks for all the organizers. Really appreciate this opportunity. Whenever I get a mic, I want to sing, but I'm not going to do that because I want you to like me. I grew up in this district. First of all, we have one of the largest congressional districts in the United States. We get to be very Michigander when we talk about it because it's the entire Upper Peninsula and then the top third of the Mitten. Big district. I grew up here, Traverse City and Sheboygan. My family goes back 5 generations in the Sheboygan area. I met my husband at Sheboygan Area High, the same high school my parents met and got married out of, and my grandparents. So suffice it to say, my children are not going to Sheboygan Area High. But 9/11 occurred while I was in high school. My husband, Matthew, wanted to fight for his country, so he enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. That decision would change the course of our lives. We got married very young, 18, 19. We lived all over the country. I got my teaching degree during that time from CMU. We got any chips in the room? We always got some, that's right. But Matt came back from Iraq and Afghanistan with post-traumatic stress and a traumatic brain injury. And I got very involved in advocating for military families. I worked with the Rosalind Carter Institute for caregiving and Blue Star families. And in that experience, realized I needed more tools in my toolbox. So I went to law school later in life. My girls were 5 and 2 at the time. I have very clear memories of showing up to law lecture with my notes covered in unicorn stickers and thinking if the answer is not rainbow bright, I've gotten it wrong. But I graduated from the University of Michigan Law School with honors. I worked for several years as a litigation attorney at Jones Day, where I helped to give veterans free legal services. And then, of course, during this time, we've had this ever-increasing polarization in our politics. And I have felt so strongly that we need a representative here in our district who's from here, who's for here, who's going to show up for us. And to me, you know, when you are coming into an adulthood as a military family, what you realize is that you see each other first as Americans, and that this country is still something very much worth fighting for. One of my very best friends, who I met in the military, 18 years old, she was pregnant, her husband had joined to help provide for the family, and he was killed serving with my husband in Iraq. That little boy she had this year graduated from Marine Corps boot camp. And I tell people that story because I feel so strongly that that is our mandate today, that this kid who grew up without a dad still believes so strongly that this country is worth serving and worth fighting for, and I believe that. And I think that we do that by seeing each other as Americans and as neighbors first. If we think we can't work together, we won't. That's not democracy. And there are big challenges we're facing that I know we can confront. We're at the greatest period of income inequality right now since the 1920s. We need an economy that works for everyone. And what that means is supporting our middle and working classes. It means making sure we have access to health care. We're not privatizing Social Security and Medicare. We're supporting our public schools. I've got a lot more I can say, but I'm limited. So I'm going to let you go. But please look us up. It's CaliForCongress.com. Get on our website. We've got great buttons right there, designed so pretty. But check us out, join the team. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Callie. And next, we will go with Dr. Bob Lawrencer, please.
Yeah. Last but not least, let me summarize why we are running for Congress. Fighting for our families, fighting for our freedoms, and fighting for our future. So everything that I will actually stand for will be in one of those 3 categories. So what is your vision of the 1st District? 1st District is broad. It's more than these 2 counties. But I think I would share your vision. Don't we believe that we would have a robust infrastructure, human infrastructure, and capital infrastructure? How about reliable connectivity? When I drive down here from Marquette, we go at least 70 miles without cell phone coverage. Hard to even call 911, even though it's supposed to reach there. Don't you believe in affordable child care? How about available and affordable housing? This is a great place. It's one of our 8 community colleges that we have in the district, but people have to be able to afford these colleges. Yes, I believe 2 years of paid college is the way to end up going. We need jobs with livable wages. That's what my vision is. I think it's the same vision that you end up having. Now, let me tell you an ongoing problem of the 1st District. 25 of our 36 counties are called graying American communities. That means over 25% of the communities over age 65. This only happens about 10% of all the communities, the counties in the nation. Do you see a problem coming forward? How are we going to stay vitalized in the 1st District? How are we going to be able to support our seniors that do deserve a good retirement? How many workers do we have to replace them? How are we going to get them in the 1st District? That's what we need to think about. We need to revitalize our 1st District. We need the youth to end up coming and staying. I believe healthcare is a human right. I'm a physician by training. Healthcare is a human right. It's an American right, and we all deserve that. I will support Medicare for all, a single-payer healthcare system with no deductibles, no co-pays, no hidden billing, and it will be paid for, and it will save $500 billion a year. As done by Republicans, independents, and academics, why have we not done such? That is how we fight for our families. I will stand for your right to be who you are, to marry who you wish to marry. That is our fight for our freedoms. I want you to read the books you wish to read, to go to the medical care provider you want to go to. I want you to make the decisions to when and how to start a family. Those are battles that my grandmother fought, that my grandchildren must not. We can achieve energy independence while addressing climate change and protecting our environment. And we must protect our democracy. That is our fight for our future. Why am I running for Congress? I told you some of the reasons I ran for Congress. My qualifications are probably similar to the other candidates. We all have reasons. I started my occupation as an adolescent counselor at a state hospital with troubled youth. I went on to be a social worker at the VA hospital. Then onward to being a family physician, a family physician to the Navajo Nation for 3 years. Over 2 decades serving as a family physician in Marquette, a Medicare and a Medicaid medical director for the entire Upper Peninsula, a public health medical director. I spent 10 years overseas as a diplomat, Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan, Far East, Mid East, and Africa. I have served our country very, very well. We have challenges in front of us. We all have challenges. Our 1st District have challenges. I have the courage to talk about the problems and offer solutions. We can build a better life for all of us. I have the courage, I have, the knowledge and the experience to help out. As I end up saying, I will fight for you, for all the stuff that we just talked about. I will fight as a son, as a brother, as a husband, as a grandfather for you. I hope you will fight either as a sister, a mother, or a grandmother for us. And for those of you that are not a parent, I hope you will fight as a teacher, an educator, a laborer. Let's talk about the issues. Let's stay to the issues. We do have a bright future here. Let's use it and use it wisely. I would appreciate your support in August 6th also. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to our 1st District congressional candidates. We appreciate you being here this evening. Now we're going to move on to any open remarks from our contested Charlevoix County Commissioners. And I believe that we have one that was able to attend. First and foremost, before we get to our county commissioners who are able to speak this evening, I want to please make note that we have so many of them that we only invited those to say remarks that are in a contested seat, although we understand many of them were unable to be here tonight. Prior commitments have kept them away. We do hope that you took the time to meet and greet our county candidates as well. So for Charlevoix County, I believe we had, I'm looking to see if he is still here. There he is. Come on up, sir, and introduce yourself. He'll give you 1 to 2 minutes to say a few words. And take whichever mic works for you.
Hi, my name is Omar Feliciano. So I'm running for Charlevoix County, the 1st District, that covers Melrose, Bay Township, and Hayes Township. So, a little background myself. I am from Southwest Detroit. It's where I was born and grew up there. I went to the best schools in Detroit. It was called Detroit Public School, yeah. Well, it wasn't really that good. So I grew up in a time, and I'm 60, I turned 60 this year. I grew up in a time where, in the 70s, for those of you who remember, busing was down there. And so I was yanked out of my elementary school, and I was bused, I think, 10 miles away, somewhere else other than my neighborhood. I lost many friends there, and it wasn't very good for me going through this process. But you know what? From Detroit, you learn to persevere. You learn to be tough, because I grew up in that area of Detroit. You know, life is like the way it is in Detroit. I had an older sister. She was 20, and she passed away. Someone murdered her. So it's a unsolved crime. Anyways, but you know what? I just kept on pushing. Going through public schools to the high school, end up dropping out in the 10th grade. What do you do when your principal is already shot and killed, and so you got, you know, what do you look for? You try your best, right? And so I decided to go ahead and take my GED, and that's what I did. So then I turned 21. I joined the Detroit Police Department, so I did that for 25 years in Detroit, and saw many bad things. But you know what? I learned that if you're given an opportunity and a chance, you can do things. And so, leaving the department, I taught myself, and basically at that time, I taught myself how to build websites, and so that was the first thing we did for the Detroit Police Department. I built their site and brought on Facebook and, you know, things that you take for granted today. And that was back then, 2003, yeah. So we moved up here. Once I retired, 2013, we moved up here to Hayes Township, and yeah, it was a different. It was totally transition. It was totally different from the city to the country. You know, I didn't even know what was a septic tank. Real honestly, you know, I couldn't believe it when it was a hunting season, and we moved up here in November, and we needed gas. So I called up and I said, "Hey, where's, you know, we need some propane." They said, "What are you talking about? We got 2 weeks. It's hunting season."
Omar, I'm going to ask you to wrap
Yes.
it up, please, so
Okay.
we have time for the other
So,
candidates.
basically, in Charlevoix County, what I want to do is bring on the technology that I learned back then. I brought it for Hayes Township in 2013. They didn't have a website or anything, so I built them a site and wanted to connect the community with the government, and that's what I want to do for Charlevoix County as a commissioner. So, yep, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe that we have 3 individuals from Emmet County that are in a contested county commissioner seat that wished to speak tonight. If we have another one that jumps up, we'll handle that as we go along. So if Charles Lofbaum and Brett Gooding and Courtney Wilbur could please come up to the front, and we'll give you each 2 minutes to speak. Thank you very much. And Courtney, since we're going left to right from my angle, you may go first. And please introduce yourself and what district you're running in.
Hi, my name is Courtney Wilbur. I'm running for District 3 in Emmet County as a county commissioner. I am running because I love this community. I was born and raised here in Emmet County. I graduated from North Central and went on to go to Grand Valley. I have moved around the country, and I came back home because this community means so much to me. I am running specifically to offer support for our health department. I want to support our public education. I want to support Bay Bluffs. These are all things that mean a lot to me. I would love attainable housing in this community. I would love for our young people to come back here after they graduate college. And we can only do that if we have housing, childcare, and jobs that pay for those. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Courtney. Charles, would you like to go next? Should be on? Yep. Should be good to go.
My name is Charles Lofbaum, and most people call me Chuck. I was born 74 years ago, about a mile from here on Lockwood Avenue at Lockwood Hospital. I have lived in Emmet County all my life. In 1966, I give my heart and soul to Jesus Christ. In 1968, I graduated from Petoskey High School. I've worked on the family cattle ranch for many years. I've also driven school bus for many years for both Pelston and the Lansing schools. In May 1986, I became a Cisco Foods delivery driver for 22 years, retiring in late 2008. I've served on the Emmet County Land Bank for 3 years. I am married to Sandy and have been for a little bit over 35 years. I have 3 boys. All 3 of them are in the Air Force. One of them is a pilot out of Omaha, Nebraska. In 2022, the former commissioner for 12 years, Tony Dreyer, asked me to run for county commissioner in District 1 and also endorsed me. I was elected in November 22, started serving on January 1st, 23. I'm on the Airport Board, Bliss Fest Committee, the Paradise Lake Improvement Board, Mackinac Local Revenue Sharing Board, the Planning Board, and served 1 year on the Zoning Board. And I was nominated again this year for the Zoning Board, but I declined because, in my opinion, it is hurting private citizens and businesses in Emmet County, resulting in several very costly lawsuits against Emmet County. I have recommended oversight of this board to the Emmet County Board of Commissioners. I am an ultra-conservative Republican. I am pro-life. I am very much pro-private land rights, pro-business, pro-free speech and gun rights. I am against all vaccine mandates and forced mask wearing. I am against forced closing of schools, businesses, and churches. Emmet County lacks good roads in much of the county. It also lacks a good daily newspaper that will print conservative opinions. Most of my life, I have written 3 or 4 opinion letters to the editor every year. None were rejected. In the last 14 or so years, all my letters were withheld from the readers by both the Petoskey News Review and Harbor Light newspapers. In a Emmet County Board of Commissioners meeting, I brought up the idea of declaring Emmet County to be a non-sanctuary county, and 2 commissioners got very mad and upset, and the other ones did not speak up. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Charles. And our last Emmet County Commissioner that is able to speak for us this evening is Brett. Go right ahead.
Wow, there's a lot of people. Thanks for showing up. My name's Brett Gooding. I've got the yellow business cards back there. Probably the most important, or probably the most proud I am, is that I've been married to the same woman for almost 40 years. I've gone through 4 wedding bands because I always wear them. I have 2 wonderful children, in my opinion. I'm a little biased. They're adults and pretty successful. I've had 25 years with the Michigan State Police as a trooper and as a sergeant. I've been involved in businesses. I've always been active in my community. I've lived all over the state. I have chosen Emmet County because I love this county. I will always vote for the people. How I will make my decisions, I will be talking to the people I represent. I would think, and I will pray on that. I want your vote. I believe that we should be spending our money in Emmet County first, in the state of Michigan first or second, and then where it has to be spent. I will always listen to my people. I want to serve you. From the age of about 15, I was involved in festival committees and different programs when I was younger. I've been involved in Little League. I've raised money for different sports fields, sports stadiums, and I raised about $100,000 for AEDs in the community I lived in. I want to serve you, and I'd appreciate your vote. I also, if you know me, I believe in the First and Second Amendment, very strong Second Amendment. I've been a firearms instructor with the Michigan State Police, and I continue to instruct different safety programs. And again, thank you.
Thank you very much. Please give a round of applause to our 3 speakers for County Commissioner. Thank you. At this time, I would love to remind everyone that if you have not picked one up, I hope you do pick one up, because what you'll find on this ballot is a sample ballot, but also QR code and websites that will link you directly to Emmet and Charlevoix County's election websites, where there you can view all of the candidates running for county commissioner seats, as well as all the other big races that are happening right now, our U.S. Senate, and we've touched a little bit on our congressional district. In addition to, each county has individual proposals again this year. We did not have enough paper to put them all on one sheet for you, so I encourage you to do that. In addition, there are other elections in your counties, Emmet County specifically this evening. If you have not had a chance for meet and greet time afterwards, I encourage you. We have 2 candidates here that are running for Emmet County Sheriff. So there's a lot of opportunity for you to learn this evening, so we want to get right to the point where we hope you will learn the most. This is the time for our moderated forum. So I want to give a quick introduction to the forum and kind of the genesis and why we do what we do for this particular one. So we are specifically focusing this evening on the 107th State House District of Representatives. Our Chamber's Government Relation Committee, and when I say chambers, that means the Petoskey Chamber as well as the Charlevoix Chamber of Commerce, look forward to hosting this event each and every election cycle, because we know it gives our residents and our business owners an opportunity and a chance to hear directly from the candidates on the issues that we are facing every day in our communities. The questions are vetted by the committee and will be moderated by committee member Scott Ledour, who is the professor of political science at North Central Michigan College, as was already alluded. As a reminder, all candidates, as we invite you up, all candidates were invited in advance to participate this evening. The candidates that we will have joining us for the 107th District State House of Representatives seat are the following. When I call your name, please come up and have a seat. Jody Decker, Parker Fairburn, and Neil Frisky. And as they are joining us on stage, I will explain our forum rules and format. So candidates will each begin with an opportunity for a 2-minute open, and they will have at the end of the moderated forum a 2-minute close. Candidates, as a reminder, you will be asked questions by our moderator in a rotating order so that each of you has an equal opportunity to be the first to answer. You will each have 90 seconds to answer the question. I will be sitting right there in the front, and I will hold up a time card indicating when you are at 30 seconds and when you are at 10 seconds. We promptly move along when your time is up. As this is a forum and not a debate, each candidate will have the same allotted time to answer the question without open discourse. So I ask you, please be respectful of each other's time and use only your allotted time to answer the question presented to you. To the audience, we do not allow questions from the audience so that we can move along and make sure that we are addressing the questions that we have compiled to see how the candidates reflect on issues for our area. With that in mind, I also remind you and ask you to remain quiet and courteous as each candidate is allowed their response time. Additionally, we ask you all to be respectful to one another. This is an opportunity for all of us to learn more about these candidates, and we greatly appreciate those who are joining us this evening in person and those who are watching today online. So with that, I will now turn it over to our moderator, Scott Ledour, to begin the forum.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. We're going to try to get through as many of these questions as we can before I think we end around 7:25, 7:30, something like that. I'm looking at Nikki. Okay, good. Yep. This is the same voice I use when I talk to my wife, where I'm like, is this right? Yeah? Okay, good. Yeah, right. What did I say I was going to do? Okay, so first is opening statements from each candidate. We'll start on the far end with Jody Decker, move our way this end to Parker Fairburn, and then the first question will go to Neil Frisky in the middle, and then move down to Parker, and then back to Jody, so that we cycle everybody's first and last opportunities. So opening statements, we'll start with Jody Decker, please.
Is this on? I'm Jody Decker. I'm running for the 107th, obviously. I'm that Democrat, as I was called in 22. So I work in family preservation. I'm a social worker, and my education is criminal justice. So criminal justice reform and foster care reform are my two main priorities that I want to work on. I've been a foster parent. I've seen that system from both sides, and it needs a lot of reworking. As far as prison reform, I think we have far too many people locked up in this state. We're paying a lot of money for a lot of prisoners for crimes that a lot of them aren't even crimes anymore. Nonviolent criminals, we need to work on getting them out of the prison and back into the job force and getting them back with their children. A lot of people don't think about prisoners. They don't just affect, it's the victim and the prisoner going to prison and the system, but it also affects the children that they have in their homes. And since I'm working in family preservation, that strikes me as we need to work on ending childhood trauma, because there's a lot of childhood trauma in kids being removed from homes or even domestic violence situations. And I work with a lot of domestic violence situations. I work with a lot of substance abuse situations, housing, mental health, and bringing more of these services to our district is important. I live in Sault Ste. Marie, at the very top of this district, and in the UP, we don't have, I have to come down here to Petoskey to go to a dentist. I'm bringing my son to Gaylord tomorrow to see a dentist. He's been on a waiting list for 2 years. Medicaid not being paid enough for, sorry, you're throwing me off. Medicaid not paying enough has caused all the dentists in the UP at least to stop taking Medicaid. So nobody can see a dentist. So that's what I'm for, is for bringing more services to our area.
Thank you. Neil Frisky. Neil Frisky, please.
Thank you. You all know who I am, so I'll skip right through the introduction part of myself. I'm thrilled to be here tonight, and I mean that literally. I'm thrilled to be anywhere that's not a jail cell. Let me first address the elephant in the room, and let me be as clear as I possibly can be. I was arrested and held due to some false accusations. I was released with no charges. I did absolutely nothing wrong, and I'm certain that when the police are done conducting their investigation, I will be completely exonerated. So far, this has not been a miscarriage of justice. It's been a miscarriage of the media. I'm here today for two reasons. First reason is to say thank you. Thank you to each and one of you for putting your trust in me and sending me to represent you in Lansing. You could have sent a liberal voice. You could have sent a childish voice. You could have sent someone who plays patty cake with those who are hell-bent on raising taxes, growing the government, and infringing upon our God-given rights. But you didn't. You sent me. And I remain true to what I said I would do. Second reason is to humbly ask for your vote in my bid for re-election. If you want a representative in Lansing that will not compromise on the with the radical Democrats, then vote for Neil Frisky. If any other vote would be a vote for the Uniparty, which would just result in an incremental descent to a California-like cesspool. Let's keep Northern Michigan strong and free and send the most conservative legislator back to Lansing to work on your behalf. Thank you.
Thank you. Parker Fairbairn.
Thank you for having me tonight. My name's Parker Fairbairn. I'm running for the State House of Representatives here in the 107th District. We need a strong voice in Lansing, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to sit on no committees and not be a legislator. I'm going to actually do the work of the legislator, and it hasn't been done the last year and a half. It's been pretty pathetic to see the way that this seat's been treated. We don't need more drama in this seat. We've seen enough drama from the 107th District seat, and that's not what I'm going to bring. So if you want someone who's just going to go down there, do the job, and do it well, and actually represent our district, please send me down there. But if you want more of the same drama that we're getting national headlines news on, send the same guy back down to Lansing. I'm a fifth-generation Northern Michigander here. I've served the community here the last 2 years on the Emmet County Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, Emmet County Farm Bureau Board. Very grateful for the Farm Bureau Agri-PAC endorsement, as well as having some really key endorsements in this race from our sitting Senator John DeMoose and our sitting Congressman Jack Bergman. So really pleased with that. We've got great momentum on our campaign here. I'm joined tonight with my wife, Victoria. She's here, and super grateful for all your support on this campaign. It's been a whirlwind, and we've got another month and a half left. So I have my MBA down at Northwood University, also got my BBA down there. I absolutely love that place. I'd just like to thank NCMC for hosting us tonight, and the Petoskey and Charlevoix Chambers for putting this amazing event on, and hopefully all of you get to learn something about us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the first question then goes to Neil Frisky, and then we'll move to Parker Fairbairn, and then at the end, Jody Decker. All right, so this question goes to Neil Frisky. It is clear that tourism is an important industry in our area, and then short-term rentals contribute to that economic engine. However, our year-round residents also value a sense of community, which can be hurt by the proliferation of short-term rentals. How do you think these two needs should be balanced? And what policy or policies would you advocate for to achieve this balance?
Well, I believe we had a very similar question 2 years ago when we were sitting here. So my voting record proves that I am a smaller government, less regulation advocate. And I do not believe that Lansing should be the person that makes the decisions when it comes to short-term rentals for Northern Michigan. What's good for Petoskey might not be good for Charlevoix, might not be good for Gaylord, might not be good for Traverse City, might not be good for Sault Ste. Marie. And so I don't want to be down there in Lansing and cast a vote telling everybody what they have to do with the short-term rental for their community. I think you'll find, if you look at my voting record, you'll see that across the board when I vote for individual rights. I vote for less government. Way too often, people want to look to Lansing to solve their problems, whether it's short-term rentals, or it doesn't matter what topic we talk about, and I'm probably repeating myself over and over on multiple questions with some of these same answers tonight. So I do believe that we could, one of the things the state could do is help by reducing some of the regulation that some of the agencies put on to throttle our developers and our people that want to do different things. And so the short-term rental thing is it's not a simple fix. And I do believe that if we allow the free market to take care of itself, ultimately it will be resolved.
Thank you. Parker Fairbairn.
Can you repeat the question?
Yep. Tourism is an important industry in our area, and short-term rentals contribute to that economic engine. However, our year-round residents also value a sense of community, which could be hurt by the proliferation of short-term rentals. How do you think these two needs should be balanced, and what policy or policies would you advocate for to achieve that balance?
Well, the short-term rental issue is really unique up in our district. I mean, you look at it, and it's an issue on two hands. You've got one side that's private property. I should be able to do what I want with my property, whether it is a short-term rental or not. The other side of that is local control. Our local governments know best what's best for their communities. Sometimes that can be abused, and I think there needs to be a balance there between private property and short-term and the local control. So our local municipalities really governing the whole thing. I don't believe Lansing has the one-size-fits-all solution for this. I don't believe that's the answer to this because Michigan's so unique. You go into the Upper Peninsula, you go down to Detroit, they're two totally different places. So I don't think Lansing can solve that issue, but it's crucial that we allow limited government to facilitate this crucial issue in our area.
Thank you. Jody Decker.
Well, I agree with Parker on I'm torn between people's private rights of their property and what's best for the economy and their rights to make money off of their property. I'm thinking maybe polling the communities, each community, and seeing if we should have like a limit on how many Airbnbs or whatever are in each community, or I think that should be back at local control also, actually, because I don't think the state can take into account what happens in each individual district and each individual community. I've learned that Lansing is way out of touch with the UP in the last few years, and so I think it should be left at local control.
Thank you, Jody. All right, this question will go to Parker first. The state of Michigan has recently created a new Office of Rural Prosperity. The Northern Michigan Chamber Alliance, which includes the Charlevoix and Petoskey chambers, has advocated for certain policies from this office. What priorities would you focus on in your work with this new office focused on rural areas?
Well, is it working? Okay. So some of the key issues in terms of rural development, you're looking at broadband, you're looking at housing. Housing's, I think, one of the biggest ones, and that's something I've really been able to focus on in the last 2 years serving in the community. I've been on our local Emmet County Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. I see a couple members on that board here tonight. That board in particular has really moved the needle forward on some of these key issues up here, like housing. We've helped approve a project for brownfield funding on the Michigan Maple Block project, which is really a spectacular project, and we're not solving the issue right there with that project, but we're moving the needle forward on the future of our district. I mean, you look at housing prices now, $600,000 in Emmet County is the average sale price right now. The median of that is $400,000. This is unsustainable, and we really need to help move the needle forward by increasing the supply, thus limiting or reducing the demand of housing up here. Thank you.
Thank you. Jody.
Can you repeat the question?
Yep. The state of Michigan has recently created a new Office of Rural Prosperity. The Northern Michigan Chamber Alliance, which includes the Petoskey and Charlevoix chambers, has advocated for certain policies from this office. But what priorities would you focus on in your work with this office on rural issues?
Well, in Chippewa County, we're having a unique housing shortage issue because we have the Locks project going on, and they brought a lot of out-of-state workers in to work this job. They put FEMA trailers up in Kinchlow. They've been buying up all of our houses. Our housing prices have doubled. My house is worth double what it was before this project started. However, you can't sell your house because you can't find another house to buy. There's nowhere to buy. They've rented up all of our rental properties for years ahead of time. We don't know where we're putting our students when school starts again. So making more housing, making more availability of housing would be my priority, to bring costs back down to where they should be and make it more affordable for people. With all the influx of out-of-state workers, which we're due to get more of if Line 5 gets their permit, they want to bring in people from Montana and Florida to build the line. Then we're going to have additional problems in Mackinac County and possibly man camps.
Thank you. Neil Frisky, then.
Well, I touched on this a little bit already. I do believe that with the affordable housing issue, it goes back to reducing regulation. Some of the new ideas that the governor has for our state is she wants to make it mandatory that there are 2x6 walls throughout the house, that there's R60 insulation in the attics, mandatory fire suppression for all new residential units, and regulations like that are what is just driving the costs up to where nobody can afford them. I know recently, in just the past few years, the fact that you have to insulate your basement if you put a basement in, that adds another $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 to the cost of a home, depending on the size of it. So it goes back to reducing government regulation, getting government out of the way, letting the free market come in and take control. I believe if we do that, I think that there's a hope for us to. It's not a simple fix. It's not like going to the gas station and pumping your car full of gas and now you're not out of gas anymore. So no matter what happens, this is not something that's going to be fixed tomorrow. But I do believe we have to start by reducing regulation and letting the free market take over, and we'll end up with affordable housing in our area somewhere down the road.
Thank you. Okay, so this question starts with Jody then. We're going to start here. Jody, a strong educational system in Michigan is essential to economic growth and attracting talent to our area. What would you advocate for in Lansing to ensure the strength of our local K-12 school districts and institutions of higher education?
Well, as we all know, if we don't have schools for our children, we don't have children to put in the schools because nobody's going to stick around. So funding our schools, I know this last year and a half, when Whitmer raised the budgets for the schools and the free lunches, that needs to continue. We need to raise it more. We need to give our teachers raises and incentivize people to come here and be teachers for our kids. Pouring money into our education is pouring money into our future, I feel. Anything for children is going to help us in the long run, and it will bring more children into our area. More families will want to raise their children here. In fact, I lived in the UP my entire life, except for a short stint I did down in Ypsi. And when I got pregnant, I moved back up north to raise my kids because I didn't want to be in a city. I wanted to be where I was from. So I think most people do want to be back where they're from, but they need jobs and childcare and education for their kids to stay there.
Thank you very much. Neil Frisky.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yes. A strong educational system in Michigan is essential to economic growth and attracting talent to our area. What would you advocate for in Lansing to ensure the strength of our local K-12 school districts and our institutions of higher ed?
Well, on the education topic, I do believe that we need to continue to advocate for school choice. School funding is at a record and an all-time high, and unfortunately, the results are not reflective of that. So, just pouring more money into it is clearly not the answer, because that's the trajectory we've been on for a while. And so I think we need to make sure that we make school choice a matter of an issue that's in the forefront, and allow, I believe the money should follow our students, so that if you choose to send your children to a private school, a charter school, whatever your choice, a homeschool, whatever is best suited for your family and your child's needs, I think that's the important part. So again, just pouring more money into the budget and we've got an almost $83 billion budget. We just can't keep pouring money into everything because it's not sustainable. Look what you're paying for groceries. Look at what you pay for gas. Look at what houses cost, because building materials are skyrocketed. So we have to become more fiscally responsible. We have to demand more from our education system and hold them accountable. And once we start doing that, I do believe we can get a better result. I am not against public schools, but I am against just continuing to funnel money into them if they're not going to produce a better result.
Thank you. Parker Fairbairn.
Well, education is a really important issue to me. Michigan ranks 43rd in terms of education across the nation, which is unacceptable. We've had a 25% increase in spending in our education in the last few years, with only actually a negative 5% increase in decrease in test scores. So that's a huge, huge issue that I see. Spending's increasing, but the performance and the results aren't increasing. One big thing that I've been a proponent of the last year has been Beyond Basics. It's a really good program that we have in a few schools in the Charlevoix ISD. We have it in East Jordan, Harbor Springs, Alanson, and Pellston. It's a literacy program, and I mean the results really speak for themselves. This was the first year we implemented it, and these kids, it was incredible. I was at the completion ceremony just a few weeks ago, and these kids and their parents, frankly, crying, both to my dad and I, we've been big proponents of this, saying our kids aren't getting bullied anymore. Our kids can actually read now, and that is an incredible thing to spend money on. But we have a lot of wasteful spending that's going on in terms of education, and that's something we need to really look at, these incredible programs that really help push the needle forward. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, this question will go to Neil Frisky first. Northern Michigan families have challenges accessing quality childcare. The state legislature is currently debating changes to how the state supports child care providers. What changes would you advocate for to meet this pressing need?
Well, the answer leading into that is similar to what I've already been saying. We need less regulation. With every one of these programs that want to be implemented, there's more regulation. Every time there's legislation that comes through, there's all kinds of stuff attached to that legislation that is what I always refer to, the devil is always in the details. And so some of this legislation that they're going to try to push through here, maybe even this next week, is going to just create a bigger problem. It's not going to solve the problem. They think it is, but it's actually going to create a bigger problem because it's going to make it more costly. It's going to disincentivize people to want to get into the child care business. I know back when I was in school, I knew several child care providers that it was, they made a good living doing that. It's not anything you're ever going to get filthy rich doing, but you can make a sustainable, good living. And unfortunately, anytime you add regulation to anything, it decreases your ability to prosper in that. So I think we have to obviously if these bills come up, we'll be taking a good look at them. And usually they're filled with a lot of pork. And a lot of times what happens is there's regulation built into them that after the fact requires these people to go through either DEI training or different things that nobody even thought about when they were voting for the bills. So it's very important to look at a bill from top to bottom and not just gloss over the top of it. So I think that, again, government trying to fix this problem is probably the wrong thing to do.
Thank you. Parker Fairbairn.
Well, it's clear that child care is a really big issue in our district and across the state. 74% of our employers in the district, in Charlevoix and Emmet County, I should say, really experience their employees having issues with child care. So that's something we need to tackle down there, but I think the way to do that is through less regulations. Right now it's way too burdensome, way too many regulations on these parents and families that want to do these child care programs, but they're only able to help 4 kids, or they're capped at a certain amount of kids that they can help when they could be helping 7, 8, 9 kids. That would solve the issue right away, but through red tape and regulations, that hasn't been the case, and we haven't been able to solve those issues. We need to update that legislation to make it more attainable for these parents, which will ultimately make it more affordable for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Parker. Jody Decker.
As a single mom, childcare is super important. I can attest to that. I've had to drag my kids out when they were little at 5 o'clock in the morning so I can make it to work. and try to find somebody that would take them at that time of the day. It's impossible. So I do agree, less regulations and starting up a daycare to streamline that process, but not to take away the safety of it, because they're background check. These things are done for a reason. It's to protect the children and the families. And incentivizing more people. Do you know what childcare gets paid? I mean, I don't really know what the state pays, state rate is now, but when my kids were little, it was $2 an hour per child. Do you know what they do in a daycare? They have to feed them. They have to feed them USDA regulated meals. They have to report everything that they do. It's not just like a teenage babysitter coming to your house to watch your kids. It's a full-time, never-ending job the entire time the child is there.
Thank you, Jody. This question will start with Parker. In 2021, the Ford Motor Company decided to invest over $10 billion in a new plant in Tennessee and not the state of Michigan. In response, both Democrats and Republicans in Lansing supported the creation of an economic development fund, which has now spent over $2 billion to bring large corporate investments to the state. The State House is currently considering changes to this program, including a $6 billion plan to pair economic development efforts with expanded funding for mass transit and housing. What changes would you support to make the state of Michigan more competitive economically while ensuring that this spending benefits a broad spectrum of Michiganders?
Well, this is really one that hits home. Michigan competitiveness, we are not competitive with any of our surrounding states, and you even go beyond that. We're not competitive across the nation, and that's why we lost the Ford Motor Company, and that's a reason why I want to sit on the Michigan competitiveness committee when I get down to Lansing. I really want to make sure that our district and our state is able to compete with these other states. Illinois makes it much easier for these companies to come in, and the tax system that we have here is a huge issue of that. So we need to reduce taxes, reduce regulation, make it easier for these businesses to come in here, and you're going to see our state flourish. But until then, we're going to keep losing companies like Ford Motor Company and other companies to states that are far more beneficial to them. So that's my answer for that.
Thank you, Parker. Jody Decker.
Well, I'm for giving incentives to get companies to come in here and start a business, but once they're here and established, then they need to pay their fair share. Their taxes help pay for programs for everybody across the state. It's not just for whatever. They use our roads. They use our all of our systems of government. They use everything too, so why shouldn't they pay for it? This is not really my area of expertise, so I would have to defer to experts, get advice on this. But I do have a minor in business administration, so I'm not completely obliterate of it. But yeah, I think incentivizing people to build businesses here is important. But once they're here and established and they've got their feet on the ground, they should pay their fair share.
Thank you. Neil Frisky.
Well, again, we're talking about looking to Lansing to solve another problem. So the issue with basically this falls under the guise of corporate welfare. And the problem we have here is where we single out these big corporations and we give them incentives, and all it does is actually hurt our small businesses. If we would incentivize our small businesses, our economy would flourish. And to constantly give these massive handouts to big corporations who are boasting billion-dollar profits, I've got a small business. Nobody's coming and helping me, spend $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 to expand my business and get bigger. And so I do believe that we have to treat everyone fairly. We need less taxes. If you look at the party that's in control right now, it helps you understand exactly why we're headed down the road we're on. You know, Republicans are in the minority. When Republicans are in the minority, they have a hard time getting anything done in Lansing. When I get reelected and the Republicans get the majority back, I will be sitting on multiple committees. As a returning member, my chances of being chairmen of committees are very good, where a new person coming in probably wouldn't be offered that. So, you know, not sitting on committees is a very weak talking point. There are people that are sitting on committees are getting nothing done. There's been hundreds of amendments offered that are constantly turned down by the Democrats.
Thank you. This question will start with Jody. Jody, it's often said that one job of a legislator is to bring home the bacon, or state spending, to their district. One of the three of you will win in November, and what is your view of your role in influencing state policy to benefit and bring benefits back to our district and area? So this starts with Jody, and then Neil, and then Parker.
Can you say that one more time?
Yeah.
That was a lot.
Yep, it's often said that one job of a legislator is to bring home the bacon, in terms of state spending, to their district. If one of you are elected in November, what is your view of influencing state policy to benefit and bring benefits back to our district?
Well, I think we need to remind Lansing that we are a tourist economy. We bring a lot of people from out of state here. They always come. The UP is loaded with tourist attractions, and so is Northern Michigan. And each community is different. We all offer different things. We've got the locks up there. You've got sailing down here. So I just lost my train of thought. Bringing resources into the district is one of my main goals. So bringing in more mental health providers, bringing in more doctors, specialty doctors. Anybody, if you live in the UP or Northern Michigan, you know, you time it by hours. I got a 5-hour drive. I got a doctor's appointment. It's 5 hours down the road. So bringing more specialty doctors and more resources, period, to our district. We need more childcare. We need a lot of things in this district. We need a serious representative, and it hasn't been done in the last couple of years.
Thank you. Neil Frisky.
Well, as far as bringing things back into the district, you know, the root of the problem is the way our budget is structured. If our budget was structured in such a way that that different things could be line items singled out, there's clearly we need tax dollars to function. You know, there's basic needs that the government provides that we need. We need these to exist and to maintain a healthy, prosperous life. But what we don't need is a bunch of I'm sorry, lost my train. Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. What is your view of a representative's role in influencing state policy to benefit and bring benefits back to our district?
Yeah, so again, it goes back to the structure of the budget. There's a lot of things in the budget that I would support. But unfortunately, everything gets packaged together. You've got this big bill that's got all kinds of stuff in it that, you know, when I vote yes on a bill, I'm voting for the whole bill. I can't pick and choose and say, well, I like the first 3 things, the next 5 things I don't like, the next 8 I kind of like. If I vote yes, I'm voting yes, and I'm supporting all of it. So we need more fiscal responsibility. We need a legislature that is fiscally responsible, that will you know, look at things through that lens and not just always look at more money, more money, more money. And I believe I would like to actually see money distributed to the to the local municipalities and let them decide how to fix things. Like our roads in Emmet County would fix our roads way better than the state of Michigan.
Well, Neil's talking out of both of his mouths right now. So I spoke with the Charlevoix fire chief just a few weeks ago, and he spoke with Neil just a little bit before that. And Neil said, I can't help you get a new fire truck because I don't believe in that. You're going to have to go to some other state rep. That is wrong. You need to be advocating for dollars to get spent up in our district, period. We're already handicapped because we don't have enough representatives up here. You look at the lower half of the state and they make up 75% of the reps, which is just wrong. So we need someone who's going to advocate in the state budget for dollars to get spent up here on important infrastructure needs, public safety. I mean, bare minimum, we need to be getting dollars up here for public safety. Charlevoix is such an interesting example because you have the bridge that totally, if a fire happens on the south side of the bridge and the fire truck's on the north side and that bridge is up, there's no closing the bridge to get that fire truck there. So that is a safety concern, and that's something that I will advocate for, is getting dollars spent up in our district and be a strong advocate for our district, because right now we do not have a state representative who does the work of a state representative.
Thank you. This question goes to Neil Frisky, and then to Parker Fairbairn, and then to Jody Decker. What off-the-radar issue or issue not mentioned tonight do you think deserves our attention, or do you plan to address if you are elected in November?
Well, we've got a lot of issues that we all are very familiar with and know about, so I don't know about getting creative and trying to dream something new up. I can say that, we need to focus on the issues that we have at hand. We've talked about a lot of very important things already this evening, and until we fix some of the problems we have, I don't think we need to start getting overly creative and thinking about new things that we should be addressing. So, unfortunately, the only way you can expand government is to raise taxes. If you're not going to be fiscally responsible and cut somewhere else, the only way you can do that is to raise taxes. And I don't think there's a single person in this room that wants that. And it does put municipalities in a tough spot. You can't have everything. I'm a small business owner. I can't have everything I want. So I have to look at what I have, what's available to me, and make those wise decisions as to where I'm going to spend my money. And I don't have a golden honey pot that I can just go dip into, and that's not what the state is. That's not what our legislator is. We're not a honey pot. We're not somebody you come running to every time you need something new. We've got to become more fiscally responsible, and a lot of these issues will resolve themselves.
Thank you. Parker Fairbairn.
Well, I think the biggest issue facing our district right now is a state representative who doesn't care for the people of this district. He's too busy playing politics instead of doing the work of the people, and that's something that I'm totally going to change when I get down there. He does not serve the interest of our communities. He votes against our communities all the time. House Bill 5569 voted for to keep AI pornography in the state of Michigan. This is ridiculous. When 108 other state representatives don't or want to ban that, and you're one of two, and you're willing to call the other 52 Republicans rhinos who voted for that, that is a disgrace to our district, our children, our families, and our wives. That's something that I'm not going to be doing when I get down there. I'm going to be doing the work of the people. I'm going to sit on committees. I'm going to be actually relevant down in Lansing, because he is the least effective legislator down there.
Thank you. Jody Decker.
Well, I've been a single mom for a long, long time, single grandma, and I advocate for people now. So my biggest thing is I want to advocate for our district, advocate to get money into our district, advocate for services, just advocate. And I'm a fighter. I don't give up. Obviously, I'm running for the second time in this district. I'm not a quitter. So, and how is everything just going to take care of itself? I don't understand you're even thinking on that. But things don't just take care of themselves. We need legislators in Lansing that want to do the job, and not just vote no on everything across the board.
All right, we'll now move to closing statements as we're hitting about 7:30. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for a closing statement. And Parker Fairbairn went last in the opening round, so he'll go first this time, and then Jody Decker, and then Neil Frisky will have the last word. So Parker Fairbairn, 2 minutes closing statement.
Well, my reasons for running in this primary are simple. I want to bring a voice back to our district. That was the reason I ran for the first place, and that's the reason I'm running now. My opponents had to use slander and smears to say that I've been involved in something that I have not been involved in. He put that on himself. So I am going to go down there. I'm going to serve the district. I'm going to do the job. I want to make sure that our district has a voice down there. That's been my reason for running from the get-go. I had 58 people sign a letter to ask me to run, respected people from the sheriff of Emmet County to commissioners all across the district. I heard their call to run because we don't have representation in Lansing, and that's why I'm running now. That's why I'm going to win in the August 6th primary, and I look forward to being your next state representative. Please go to my website, parkerformichigan.com. I greatly appreciate your support and look forward to being your next state representative. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jody Decker.
Well, I'm also looking forward to being your next state representative. And I don't have a primary, so I will look forward to your votes in November. Like I said, I'm a social worker. I'm here to work for us, for our district, to make our area a better place in Michigan and the state as a whole. I wish I had more, I could have a lot of time to explain to you people who I am and where I'm from and how I grew up, and it's a totally different world than what it is now. But I've raised kids myself. I'm helping my daughter raise her kids. Her husband passed away. I've had loss in my life as well, and I've had to use programs. When I was a young mother, I was on welfare. I worked my way off of it. Not everybody can do that on their own. We need to help these people to be able to get up on their feet and be productive citizens. And parenting, I feel like we have a lack of parenting completely anymore. I think people are having kids and just leaving it to the babysitter or planning on their parents helping them raise them. And I feel like we need to put more emphasis on parenting our children. And votejodydecker.com is my website. You can check me out there. And I'll be over here in the corner for a while after this. If anybody has any questions for me, I'm not a left-wing nut. I am very middle of the road on a lot of issues. The main issue we disagreed on in 22 was the abortion situation, and that is women's health care. And it's not just about babies, it's about saving women's lives.
Thank you, Jody. And the last word belongs to Neil Frisky. 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Thank you. Again, thank you each for all for coming out tonight. I appreciate all the people coming out and listening to each of us. After listening tonight, it's clear that I am still the best choice to represent the 107th District. On the one hand, you have a liberal Democrat who supports Gretchen Whitmer's radical woke agenda. Nobody wants that. On the other hand, you have a really young, inexperienced kid who has demonstrated throughout this forum a lack of understanding of basic concepts and willingness to lie and deceive you by repeating supercharged allegations written by his handlers. He wants to say that I'm the one out slandering. He's actually the one that started that. I am absolutely going to defend myself. I don't have to slander. I can run a clean campaign based on my voting record. I don't have to go out there and try to make somebody else look bad to promote myself. Here are the facts. I am not for child marriage, nor spousal rape. I am for a secure border. To that end, I introduced an immigration package of bills on June 5th, which garnered national attention as it seeks to empower law enforcement in Michigan to arrest and deport illegal immigrants. I am proud to have been endorsed exclusively in this race by Right to Life. I am honored to have received the Conservative Elections Award last week from CPAC for my excellent conservative voting record, which my opponents call appalling. Their description says more about them than it does me. I understand some of you have gotten a misleading survey about my voting record. Quite frankly, if I got that survey, I might have doubts about the job I'm doing as well. Here's the facts. I was ranked the most conservative member in the Michigan House last year. Status quo operatives want legislators from both sides of the aisle who are willing to go along to get along. You sent me to Lansing to represent you, not them. And that's exactly what I've done. As the Democrats continue to destroy this state and our country, we need proven fighters ready to stand in the line to protect what remains of our great country. It's been an honor to represent you, and God willing, I look forward to continuing to be your strong conservative constitutional voice in Lansing. I look forward to earning your vote for re-election on August 6th. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the great state of Michigan.
Thank you. A round of applause for all of our candidates tonight.
Thank you very much to all of our candidates this evening. Thank you to Scott Ladour, Professor of Political Science at NCMC, for moderating. And thank you to NCMC for hosting us here tonight at the beautiful Iron Horse Café. We have a few minutes before we need to vacate this, so I encourage you to take a moment or two and find a candidate that you would have a question for. Make sure that you watch this replay back on our channels, as well as follow your county ballot proposals and what else is going on. And remember to get out and vote. Thank you for joining us, both in person and online, and have a wonderful and safe evening.